News at Prime continues now. Police say they are making headway in the fight against extortion rackets across the country. This week, the SAPS announcing a reinforced redeployment to Mthatha and Port Elizabeth to directly deal with the rampant problem. For a discussion on this, we're now joined by Roelof, Viljoen, Project Manager at Business Against Crime South Africa. Roelof, good to have you. Thank you very much for your time. According to the SAPS, they are making some inroads. 772 people alleged to be extortionists across the country have been arrested. At least 58 of them successfully convicted. I was speaking to the Premier of the Eastern Cape, also saying, for example, in those who are illegally occupying government houses, they've made some arrests there. Is it nearly enough, considering the scale of the problem?
Obviously, good evening. Thank you for having us. It's an ongoing fight against crime. The successes are there, but I'm sure that's just the beginning. We're not sure that we actually at the kingpins. It's organized crime. This might still be some of the people that's doing the floor work. So you actually need to get to the instigators at the top. But yeah, there is some progress.
When you say instigators at the top, what are we talking about? Is there some members, for example, of the community in the Eastern Cape who would have said, look, there are police officers who are involved here, hence the reluctance to go and report, because as soon as you report and you open a case, you get a call moments later to say, oh, we've heard that you've opened a case, we're coming for you.
That we've heard, but I have no proof of that. We'll see when that comes through into court.
Yeah, but at the top echelons, who exactly are the people who are running these syndicates?
And that's the good question. Once we get that information, we can go for the prosecution.
Yeah.
So it is, and it's the principle of any organized crime base. You quite often get to the runners, maybe the middle management, but the top echelons are quite well hidden from being exposed, and that's the challenge.
Now, as Business Against Crime, of course, you hear a lot from your members. Are they reluctant to go and report? Because it seems, I mean, if you look at most of the major campaigns, even now with what is being introduced in the Eastern Cape, is either a anonymous hotline that is being opened or some kind of reward system to encourage people to report, or you would see some kind of effort around that particular instance of getting more people to come forward and report. Is reporting the problem here? Are your members willing to go out and report?
Well, the reporting is definitely an issue if you're threatened by the fact that you report the crime. And it has been in the forums that we talk, where police and NPA and all the factions are sitting together. It is one of the issues that people are afraid to come forward, because at the same level that they threatened at the businesses or construction sites, they are threatened if the crime is reported as well. So yes, it is. So to some extent, there are services deployed where they actually report the crime on your behalf. They act on your behalf so that and they're willing to stand up. But of course, it's a secondary, it's a service that you have to pay for. So it's not a solution for everyone.
So as Business Against Crime, I mean, are you just merely a forum, or are there some other interventions that you are bringing into the fore in the fight against extortionists?
So the Business Against Crime in that principle and the role in this specific, it's been a priority crime identified in 2019, made publicly known in the State of the Nation address in 2020. And then most of the work started about July, August that year. But the statistics gathering, and that is 722 arrests that Brigadier Ramangwa and the rest of the police is referring to, it is coming from the statistics that's been gathered since then. So what Business Against Crime's role in this case is to, on the one hand, assist business to identify the crime types and making sure that they do not expose themselves to further threatening. So to some extent, making the role players in business aware what is the crime so that they can identify it, and then assisting in reporting and further processing. So it's about being aware of what the legal process looks like, and then assisting if there's stoppages, giving some assistance in escalating it to management, either in the South African Police Service or in the NPA if necessary.
So how do you advise them, and how do they respond? For example, they are working especially in vulnerable communities because huge budgets are being released by government for infrastructure development in those particular communities. And you've got these formations that come and say, we are a business forum, and therefore we want 30% of procurement coming to this particular community, and so on and so forth. What is the advice that you give to those businesses?
So, okay, so there is a publicly available guideline that we've published towards the end of 2022. But what it starts off with is that, and business is well aware of that, and if you refer to construction specifically, that you have to interact with the community before, as part of the allocation of the contract. And then even if it's not public works where your preferential procurement policy is applicable, to still involve the community, and so that the community in principle have no reason to participate in the criminal activity that's then instigated by other organizations. So to a large extent is about being prepared in getting the community involved from the beginning, so that the reasons for standing up or for disrupting is not there, because they have been involved from the beginning. And then if the criminals try and do it while the project is running, that your site personnel is prepared with that information in saying there's no cause for disruption because the community is involved, people are employed. And obviously it doesn't mean that local community will always be employed, because some work might be where the skills are not available, or it's not something that you but it's up to the company to make sure that they do local development as part of the process.
Yeah. What sort of resourcing can certainly businesses put towards this? For example, in the province of the Western Cape, the Mayor of Cape Town has placed a lot of emphasis on a collaboration between specialized units in the police, but also community policing forum and security companies, and saying let's resource those kinds of structures to be able to deal with this. Do you think that would be a good way to tackle this?
Yeah, there's always someone that knows something. And if you can channel that information in a secure manner to someone that can do something proper about it. So it's to a large extent, you have to make sure that the structures are purified. Of course, there's a risk that the information might go to the wrong way, and that's part of what we have to work with. And the advantage that business currently have is the agreement that Business Against Crime have with the police to involve private security at this stage through Eyes and Ears, or E2 as it's well known, where all that information is gathered on a national system where all the conversations, all the incidents are recorded, so that a third party in that case knows about something that's going on, and you can actually go back and see what developed. So it's about identifying, and that's for all kinds of crimes, identifying the risk actually before it happens. Yeah. If there's certain vehicles gathering, have the notion that there could be a cash in transit, and make the cash transporting companies aware that there's a risk in a certain area. So that kind of example is what this network is about. of course, it's there's a risk, and we very guarding very strongly against that. That this information might get into the wrong hands, and it's all about having those controlled as far as possible, and then if you have a leak, trying your best to mitigate the risk of that.
Roelof, Viljoen, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on, Project Manager for the Business Against Crime South Africa.